Hi, I'm Joe Murphy. I want to talk to you in closing out this couple of sessions on interviewing people, but I want to reverse it because several of you had direct messaged me about, well, how do I interview? What's one of the most important things about interviewing for a job? And I'm going to give you a couple of ideas over the next couple of sessions about interviewing. The biggest thing, and I just saw this recently, somebody else posted this, and the person has, I don't know, a couple 100,000 followers, but he was wrong. He said, when you go for an interview and they ask you, the interviewer asks you this question, said, and the question is, tell me a little bit about yourself. The person's trying to get to know you. That is not true. Yes, the person would like to get to know you, but it is a big mistake. And the person went on because he has never done any really kind of professional recruiting or sending professionals to jobs. I did that for about 4 years. I was recruiting very high-level senior staff at the executive level, but also people who were professional IT people who were making several $100,000 a year. And they worked in big positions in major corporations in New York City and in other major metropolitan areas. This idea of this question, tell me a little bit about yourself, is a big mistake. Tell me about yourself. And if you're interviewing people and you ask this question, you're wasting time. Tell me about yourself is a throwaway question because you're coming from one meeting, you as the interviewer are coming from one meeting and you don't know what to ask and you're busy trying to fumble through the resume. First of all, you should be reading the resume before you even walk into the meeting and have specific questions about the job ready. Don't fumble around and waste the person's time by asking this question. Tell me a little bit about yourself. It's a throwaway question. Now, I want to stick with the interviewer for a second, then I'm going to talk about the interviewee. When you ask this question, you're throwing doors open that the person doesn't know what to say. Okay. I know you're not a professional interviewer because you got a real job. You're a manager, you're an executive, and that's your real job. That's the one where you want to be excellent at. But I gave you some great things over the past 4 days as what you should do. The 15-minute interview screening process, which will set you up for success when the person comes back in for an interview for the hour long, because you'll have already met each other and you've got an idea of how to shape the conversation. All right, don't ask this question if you're an interviewer. You can ask the question and say, tell me about your skills and qualifications relative to the job description. And one of the people had put it in one of the comments, and I agree, a lot of times the job description, and this is something you as managers need to fight with HR about, doesn't match what you're looking for. Some people have said, well, I can't change the job description because it's one of those job descriptions that are standard. That is the weakest thing anybody could ever do. And it's a shame that because people are really applying for that job and the job description doesn't match what the manager wants. Okay, so managers, last point. If you're the interviewer, you sit down with the recruiter and make sure that he or she is recruiting people that match what you're looking for. And here's the critical thing. You have a laundry list of about 30 items. That's also a mistake. That's like a needle in a haystack. Worse than that, it's like a needle in a country to look for. Okay, you need 5 critical things, what I call KRAs, key result areas, for the specific jobs. Maybe 5 to 7 at the most. This is what the person has to be really skilled at. All the other things are nice to have. Nice, but not necessary. Not necessary. This is terrible. You're wasting a lot of people's time. All right, 5 to 7 things at most. Sorry to say. And that's even for a $100,000 to $300,000 a year job. You just need these things. Yes, they can be pretty big and broad buckets, but you need to get a little bit more specific so you can find the right candidates. That's why you're not finding candidates, because you don't know, you haven't given a good description to your recruiting team. They'll tell you, but they won't tell you because they don't want to lose the contract if they're a third party or if they're working for you. They don't want to disappoint you. All right. For the interviewee, tell me a little bit about yourself is a trap. But the person doesn't know he or she is setting it. The interviewer is not a professional interviewer. He has a day job. So you, when you're looking for a job and you have the ability to get in front of somebody, whether it's on Zoom or face-to-face, if they ask you, tell me a little bit about yourself, say, thank you for the question. Let me make sure I understand what you're asking. You'd like a little bit about myself as it pertains to the job description. Yes? No, I want to hear about your life story and how you grew up. If a person says that, they're not serious. Okay? But you may get that, so you must be prepared. The first question always is something to the effect, tell me a little bit about yourself. It's because they're not professional interviewers. I've beaten that point to death. They're human beings. They make mistakes. Tell me a little bit about yourself relative to the job. So yes, thank you very much. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself as it pertains to the specific criteria. What you're looking for, as I understand it, is A, this, B, this, C, this. And then you're going to say to the person, is that correct? Is that correct? Because you don't want to answer A, B, C, okay, if it's not correct. The person's going to say, yes, that's exactly right. Those are the 3 things. You've turned the conversation now of you being asked the question back to them, and now you're asking them a confirmation question. Okay, let me tell you about A. And you got 2 to 3 sentences and maybe 1 example. But you're not going to give the example. You say, I've done this, I'm able to do this, and I'm able to do that. And on B, let me tell you about B. I have done this and that, and I've done this. And then C, let me tell you about C. I've done this and that and this. Do not make the mistake of going on and on and on, because he or she wants to get to the point. 3 things, 1 or 2 things for each one of those 3 things. Then you can say, the person might say, can you give me some examples about A? You better have 2 good examples, but give 1. And then if they say, can you give me another example? Give another one. Allow the conversation to go back and forth. And then you can start to say, okay, you're going to ask me for 2 examples on this, aren't you? And they're going to smile and they go, yes, you've got the rhythm. Does this make sense? This idea, a little bit about yourself, is a critical thing. They don't care that you have 14 cats or you grew up in Pittsburgh, but now you live in Atlanta, and now you have a condo on the east side, but then, you have a little sailboat that you go sailing on at the lake. They don't care. They might. I might be wrong, but not in reality. They want to know if you can do the job. I'm Joe Murphy. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.